Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner.
Hey!
We got quite the show this week. We're going to kick it off with a little Patreon question of the week. The 50th AFDO went down this past
I thought you were about to say
weekend.
like the 50th Patreon mailbag or something. I was like, wow, sick.
The 50th American Flying Disc Open, which takes you back to what, 1973?
Yes, sir.
Something like that. A little Trevor's trivia. We've got some UDisc live scoring complaint about Nate Heinold. We'll talk through. And then there's
the notes.
UltiWorld put out this article for the average age of world champions, which is fascinating.
Dude, and just get ready for the fandom survey results to come back.
Yeah,
those are going to be exciting.
But first, quick word from our sponsors.
Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp.com/foundation disc golf. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Guys, therapy is a lot of things. A lot of people don't necessarily consider it, but just talking to someone and getting somebody that is matched to you, that you can share about your life and what you have going on. A lot of people are going through tough times. It can be extremely helpful. This is something that a lot of people ignore, but therapy, in my experience, I know of so many people who have very powerful stories and what therapy has accomplished for them and things that they've been able to do with their mental health. It is really an important issue. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/foundation disc golf. And thanks again to BetterHelp for supporting this channel.
All right, let's kick it off with a little Patreon question of the week. So if you're not sure where this question comes from, basically each and every week we have a podcast for our Heiser Club members, which is what we call our patrons. And it's called the Heiser Club Mailbag, where they can They can basically ask us any question they want, and we answer each and every one of them each and every week. It's a really good time. We also have packages sometimes. Konner got a package he's going to open this Friday.
Just to show you,
I've got a package right here.
I'm not looking at anything. I'll just be like, shout out Shea Stevens, shout out Derek Rashke, shout out Bryce Allen, shout out Chris Crossley. See, we just know their names. To
our Grip Locked audience, you could just be making those up.
I'm not.
He's not.
I'm not.
Chris Crossley's a real patron.
Also, just to give you guys a heads up of how our integrity on Mailbag, I have this package. It's Monday whenever we're filming this, which is whenever this show comes out. I have this package that just got here, and I will not open it. It is still sealed, and it will remain sealed until Friday whenever we shoot the mailbag.
Konner, dude, we all know you already opened that and resealed it.
Yeah.
Let's go with the patron question of the week. This one comes from Nate McLean.
Shout out Nate McLean.
He didn't look at anything. If Simon wins Worlds, Calvin wins USDGC, and Gannon wins the Pro Tour Championship, who is Player of the Year? Fascinating question as we come into the final stretch of the season.
Paul Macbeth.
My answer would be Calvin.
I would agree.
Mainly because obviously in this scenario, I think Gannon would be the one with the most wins. But the problem is the Pro Tour Championship's not worth as much as a major.
Yeah. It would be in this scenario, you have both Simon and Calvin have 2 Elite Series and a major. I think Calvin gets a silver on top of that. I wouldn't even use that as my leverage, but you could just say, but ultimately the real leverage I think is
the
consistency. Like that alone does it. Gannon would have 3 Elite Series, which is a big deal, and the Pro Tour Championship. But yeah, to me that doesn't. I think it's certainly more of an accomplishment with this year's format to win that tournament. It feels a little less fluky. But I still don't like it's still not a major. It's still not that environment, that pressure. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, and there is a lot of pressure in the Tour Championship. It's a lot of money. We don't know what the purse is yet, but I wouldn't shock me if it was $50,000 this year or approaching it. So yeah, but I think
it's just not a.
I think Calvin winning USDGC would just be be right at the end of the season too. The recency bias would be through the roof. Like, it would cap off a nice season.
Well, because realistically, in my opinion, Calvin winning USDGC would, and Gannon has, because I would say the Pro Tour Championship is like the caliber of an Elite Series event, maybe an Elite Plus event if you want to get freaky with it. So an Elite Series event. And so I would say Calvin and Gannon in this scenario, this person just painted, Nate painted, would be essentially tied. And I feel like tied goes to consistency.
Yeah.
I don't think the consistency matters until you're tied with wins. So right now, at this point in the season, I think Gannon's the front runner for Player of the Year, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But we got a lot of big tournaments coming down the stretch, and Calvin could win any or all of them. So it'd be very interesting.
Tough to imagine that somebody is going to beat him over 5 rounds at Worlds, but we'll get into that on the preview show tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to watch. Let's get into, so the 50th American Flying Disc Open went down this past weekend, and where was it technically? I think it was like Hollywood. My computer pulled up Worlds when I went to look at it.
I did a really fun, so like the Pro Tour, and I think
it's in New York.
They post this picture. It's in Rochester.
I don't think it was technically Rochester.
That's what everybody said.
Yeah, I know. But I was looking, I was like, oh, it wasn't in Rochester.
Oh, well, maybe it's somewhere else. Did I just say Rochester?
This says Rochester. I just know I was Hilton, New York.
So maybe it's like closer to Rochester, to where like that's where
like
people
UDisc
call
Live
it.
says Rochester. The course says Hilton, New York.
Well, I did they post this picture every year when they do this tournament of like one of the first years of the tournament, either the first or the second. They like actually gave out this car, and I think it might be that the Jim Palmieri guy had like owned a dealership or had a connection or something. But either way, like the winner got a car, and I looked up the price of the car, and then I adjusted it for inflation, and as accurate as that can be, it was worth about $18,000 in today's money, which is like a bigger winner purse than we'll see all year, except for like 2 events maybe. So I thought that was funny.
Adjusted for inflation, the car was worth $18,000.
Yes, in 1973 or 4, it was worth like $2.5K.
But I wonder if you adjust purses back then for inflation, just in general.
What do you mean?
Like Climo, for instance, won like $10,000.
I mean it's pretty astounding.
Yeah, they were making. I mean, as much as there was not money in disc golf back then, there was also some money in disc golf back then.
Come on now, somebody. Something be said.
On the FPO side, none other than Miss Frisbee's, Miss Chantel Budinsky took down the FPO side by 9 strokes.
Convincing fashion. I'll tell you what, that's
really
impressive.
pulled away in the last round there. Shot at 8 under to get to her total for the tournament is 7 under, which is just crazy. She was 1 over coming into the final round, then shot 8 under that final round.
Foot on the gas.
Come on YouTube.
She's the first ever Canadian to win a Pro Tour event of any caliber.
Oh, wow. That is a big win for YouTube, though.
And then it is a big win for YouTube. Colleen McInnes,
is she the first?
That should probably show the listeners that like we could also win a Pro Tour. Like YouTubers are capable of winning Pro Tours. Chantel proved that for us. Thank you.
I feel like she's the first FPO YouTuber that I've noticed win something.
Well, yeah. It was. I mean,
I'm sure tell if you were making a joke.
Yeah.
Or that was
well,
a serious
people
statement.
have. It's hard to say because like technically people have YouTube channels, but
there isn't a lot of FPO YouTubers.
I mean, Paige Pierce, I guess technically has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Colleen McInnes came in second, and then Holly Finley and Ellen Widboom tied for third. Now, this is Chantel's first Canadian. I said that. Her season's been very meh until these last 2 events. She had 9th place at Idlewild and then the win here. I was looking because this event, it's not up on Statmando yet, but it has to be one of the weakest silver event fields of all time.
It'll be pretty close.
It's a very interesting idea for the Pro Tour to schedule an event the weekend before World Championships in a different state, where the tournament's going to finish on Sunday, and then you have 2 courses to learn, and the Worlds starts on Wednesday.
Somebody didn't like our take on Twitter from last week, where we basically said it was a waste of time, and they responded to your tweet because you congratulated Ezra.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, but no, it was a waste of time, like just going and winning a few $1,000s. And
it was a waste of time. I'll get to that in a second.
That's not the point.
Well, because here's the thing is, the only way it's not a waste of time, in my
opinion,
if
you take first.
Well, is if you show up and you taking first could get you into Maple Hill or get you into the Pro Tour Championship or something. Or in Chantel's case, realistic, not a good chance at winning Worlds. She won here. That's great. She gets her first win. It was the weakest field, so you have your best shot at winning. Unfortunately, it's I think we can call it impossible for her to qualify for Maple Hill at this point. She would have to win Worlds to get into there, and obviously a win world would qualify her for the tour championship as well. Because I don't think a silver event win holds ground as far as like a pro tour win.
Yeah, not that I know.
And so points wise, she's like 150 points out of the cut for Maple Hill.
It's going to take a win.
Not exactly going to work out. On the MPO side, you have Ezra Robinson taking down his first ever silver event pro tour win.
Whoa,
Matteo in
pro
second.
Tour win?
Well, it's a technically, if you want to get technical with it.
Growth from this guy.
Well, we'll explain why I hate silver events even more in a second. But Matteo second, and then Konner Rock came in third. Here's the thing: is the accolade? Yes, silver event win, technical pro tour win. But again, I mean, this was a B tier, field wise.
It was legitimately.
Actually, there's probably stronger B tiers.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the question, right? Ezra Robinson, first off, very, very solid win.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Ezra and Matteo are not frauds. Like,
well, no,
they're both like
that's
top 15 players. But
I saw his name win, and it didn't surprise me that he won.
Yeah.
And then I started looking back, and he's having a little bit of a toyant gem of a season here. I mean,
Ezra
he has not finished.
Butt.
Listen to this thing. He hasn't finished outside the top 15 on the Pro Tour since June.
Yeah.
And that's with playing like every event.
No, I've been saying it. Ezra Robinson is having a very good season.
Only finished outside the top 30 twice all year long. Mm-hmm. I think he might be the most underrated player on the Pro Tour. After this win, he sits in 11th in tour points, and Matteo sits in 12th. So taking the win out of the equation, okay? Because obviously if you show up and you win, sure, it was worth your time. Take the win out. Why on earth were they playing this event? They're sitting before in 15th and 14th in
tour standings.
In tour standings. So they're in the cut line. This win only gained Ezra 38 points in the tour standings. Obviously, it gained him a few $1,000s, but what's the thought process?
Well, you said it, a few $1,000s. I mean, I think that it's probably guys that maybe are weighing like, maybe they don't feel like they need the prep at Worlds, but also like maybe they saw the field was going to be wide open. They knew it was going to be wide open, and they were thinking, hey, let's go try and grab a win. You got two guys like Ezra. He hadn't won anything on the tour. Matteo has won one silver, but I
don't think Matteo's ever won a silver.
He won a silver.
I went back and looked at his PDGA. I can't.
Somebody told me that he did.
I think you're thinking of Owen Scoggins.
Were they gaslighting me? Somebody told me he won the Stafford Open.
I'll go look. I went to his PDGA
because I said he didn't, and then somebody was like, no, he did win a silver.
I went to his PDGA profile because I wanted to before I said he had never won a silver.
See if he won the Stafford Open. Yeah, it's right there. He did. He won silver.
They put silver at the end back then.
Okay.
They used to put it at the beginning. So he's won one silver.
Yes.
So never won on the Pro Tour.
But in any case, I think that's a thing. Like they were like, well, field's wide open. It'd be nice to just get a win. I mean, they did win a good bit of money. Like that's a real thing.
How much did they end up winning?
I mean, I'm sure a few grand, which is like, because like the silvers, even if the field is weak, they still get pretty good purses. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know for sure. It is weird because like especially
they don't have their payout posted. I hate when they do that.
Especially because Ezra like is typically sticks with like his brother in that crew. It's interesting that he split off. I mean, sometimes it can be as simple as like, oh, I've got family in New York. Like, there's no telling to like why he wanted to be there. But hey,
Ezra Robinson, Ezra Robinson, I understand the decision.
To be fair though, Ezra's having a scorcher this year. Like, it's not insane to say that he could put up a really good score at Worlds.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I feel like Ezra and Matteo, both of them have a shot at a world title. Now, it's a long shot, but they have a shot.
Yeah. They're players that, they certainly can put themselves in contention.
I just feel like you are giving the field such a huge advantage by not being there right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're rolling in. You got 2 days to learn 2 courses that have had changes. So, yeah, you've been there before, but they have had changes. You got 2 days to learn them both.
Yeah.
I feel like with the win, I don't think it's the brightest idea.
Well, what's the line for, like, did Ezra with that win, did he jump inside of, like, any of the buys?
No.
Or, like, what? Or he gets stroke head starts or whatever?
Stroke head starts. But I don't even think he moved up because there are wide gaps down there.
I think somebody said he jumped up a few spots.
He moved up 2 spots.
Well, it's 2 strokes in the tour. I mean, like,
is it 2 strokes? There you have brackets.
Oh, of like the point.
Once you get, I think it's only like top 5 is strokes, and then it's like
I don't know. I mean, that could be. I'm sure that's part of their thought process.
You'll gain more points playing well at Worlds than you do. He only gained 38 points.
Well, I think certain. Now you got to also remember though that there are certain players, and this is a real thing. There are certain players who genuinely like don't feel like they benefit as much from practice as other players. There are some guys who need to be on the course meticulously practicing over and over again. Both of these players, to my knowledge, have played these courses before at Worlds.
Yes.
So it could have been a case where they were just like, you know what? I know the courses. I'm not somebody who is like super like practice on the course is super value to me. I'd rather just stay in event shape. Because that's another thing too, is the one advantage I would say they do have is they won't have a week of competition rust. You know, they were just in a tournament in competition with each other, if no one else. And at least they will have that going into it where they're going to be fresher into that competition mindset. So, you know, there is practice that happens there. Nobody else is practicing under pressure like they are. But I think that's probably what it is like they probably just thought, well, I don't need to practice that course. Because there are courses in this area like that I know that I would like want to practice more than others. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear from them, like what their decision making was. Because like it like clearly there were some outliers. Like most of the tour, like almost all of them.
They were 10 strokes clear of the field.
Yeah, well, most of the tour just said no, not going to that silver event. So it is interesting that some of them stuck around.
Pretty much the entire tour. Now there were some players like Randon Lotta, Zach Arlingus, which they're more trying to make cuts.
Yeah.
They're more in that category, which that category I understand. It's like I've got to get as many points as possible. I'm not really going to win Worlds. Like Randon Lotta sitting in 64th right now. It's like if I show up and I perform really well, I can move up and get closer to cuts. I get that line of thought. It was more so, and I thought, like I knew Ezra Robinson had been having some good finishes. I was like, oh, this guy, he could be, you know, maybe he's in like 26 and he's like, hey, I could really use some extra points just to farther secure it. Once I saw he was near the top 10, I was like, what's he doing? Same thing with Matty O. Ezra Robinson, end of the day, one, he will never think that weekend was a waste because he just won a Pro Tour, a silver event. Matty O, on the other hand, you roll up, you get second place. You're reminded you can't win anymore. Then you go into Worlds. That might be a little bit tough.
I mean, he only won two years ago. I have to back off that take a little bit because now that I know that he won a silver like a couple years ago.
I will never back it off because I don't consider silvers wins. Especially Ezra Robinson.
Like you just said Ezra won.
Sure, title-wise, he has a win. But, I mean, look at this field. This is why I hate silver events.
I mean, it's
like, look at this. The battle for Bedford has had deeper fields in the last 5 years.
It is a very weak field.
Like, he beat one person, literally.
It is a little bit.
Not to take off Jake Wolf and his forehand rollers, but Ezra Robinson didn't have any competition.
It is slightly comedic that Matty O went to the event that he only had to beat one guy and he still didn't beat that guy. That is a little comedic. I think Matty O at this point, like, is just destined to be, like, top 3, top 5 like type guy. Like that just feels like what it is.
Well, has Matty-O even been I mean, obviously he's in like
he's had
12th,
he's had just fine of a season.
I feel like I haven't seen on many lead cards.
I think he started off slow this year, but I think
because last year it was like your take when you said it was a lot hotter because he was like fifth, third.
But like you can still see he's still got the top 5s. Like they are out there.
He has one.
There's a 5th at Champions Cup, 3rd at PDO.
3. He's only had 3 top 5s all year. So he's definitely having a worse season than last year. He's having a good season. There's a lot of
he doesn't implode like
top 10s.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
No, he's having a very solid season, but I think that's not as good as he used to be.
That's just kind of his thing.
Yeah,
he just kind of chills there, and you know what? He does well for himself.
He's been playing in PDJ events since 1999.
Oh my
gosh!
I
think that's part of like why a guy like Matty O is at this event is like I think he just wants to play disc golf.
How old is Matty O?
Not as old as you would think.
Idea.
I think he's only in his like mid-30s at oldest.
Google it. Oh, someone made a website that you can look up players' ages.
I don't think he's as old as I would think, considering how long he's been playing.
In 2021, he was 34, so he's 36.
Okay, yeah. I think Matty O is a guy who just loves playing disc golf. He's a road warrior, and he's just like, "What's the next event? I'm going to play it." You know, there are some guys like that.
He makes decent.
Yeah, and you can get little bonuses. Like there are some guys who are just really dedicated to the grind and like just like it and just want to be at whatever. If there's a disc golf event this weekend, I'm playing it. It is crazy that there was very few of them that went to this event. Like usually that kind of like even Calvin
what's
like
the
plays
Rochester,
like everything.
New York to where are they at?
Vermont. You can look up the
I'll just
resort.
look up Smuggler's
Yes,
Notch,
you can
Vermont.
look up the resort.
Closer
like, what's
to-
that drive? Almost 6. It's 6.5 hours.
That is, yeah, it
so
is.
you finish your tournament on Sunday at 3. If you do it right then, you're getting in at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. If you do it right then.
2 days of practice, though.
It's not surprising that
it's a tour grind, baby.
And it has nothing to do with the Rochester scene. That course looked fun. It seemed like they turned out and supported this event. It's the Pro Tour should never schedule an event this weekend.
It is very odd.
Like, it doesn't make any sense because like the Pro Tour just poured a bunch of energy and resources into an event.
Yeah, it's honestly surprising.
Like, on the FPO side, is Holly Finley in the top 10? You might have one top 10 player there. I don't
think so.
Maybe. Possibly 0.
Yeah.
Let's look at world rankings here.
She's definitely not in the top 10 world rankings.
Yeah, on the FPO side, you had 0 top 10 players. The highest rated player there was, holy cow, was Ellen Widboom higher rated than Holly Finley?
No.
Ellen Widboom's in 54th. Chantel Budinsky's rated higher than her now. 33rd. 33rd is the highest rated ranked FPO player there. And then on the MPO side, you have 2 guys near the top 10. But like, if you're the Pro Tour, you gotta be sitting back looking like, well, that was a waste of resources.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're. I don't really know what they're. I think. Well, here's the thing. I do think that they probably thought that this event would be able to get a bunch of the border people that are trying to, like, scrap some points to improve their position. But I think they maybe didn't consider that because Worlds is so heavy on points, people are going to be like, well, I'd rather just be practicing and not like starting my Worlds kind of like exhausted. So I think that that's what happened there. Cause there's also another key thing is I don't think this was a USDGC qualifier because in years past, we've seen towards the end of the year, we've seen it happen like in Canada and stuff where they'll have a silver event or an A tier even. That's a USDGC qualifier, and that snags a bunch of pros to go get their USDGC spot. Not a trend you're seeing this year as much because I feel like a lot of people are able to get their spots.
Yeah.
That should. But so yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably what they were thinking. I'll be interested to see if they do it again last year. Because yeah, if you're Rochester, like obviously it's cool that you have a silver series up there, but you'd want to have it in get a better feel. I mean, what a bummer that would be. I'm just thinking if I knew we were getting a silver series, I'd be so excited to watch like good pros come, and then you get the weakest field all year by a large margin, I think. And that's like, dang, that's a bummer.
Yeah, we'll see. Like the players of this event made a lot of sense for. Konner Rock, he came in 3rd, jumped up 9 spots with earning an additional 29.5 points. He's now in 70th. So he, I believe, is now, prior to Worlds, inside that cut. Obviously, you still have to perform at Worlds, but he just got 29.5 points on pretty much everyone around him. Yeah. Jake Wolf jumped up 15 spots.
It did kind of turn into like an MVP play more than anything. Like the guys that, and I think that's why the field looks kind of like strange because it's just a lot of guys who are like sitting around the top 70, 80. And
yeah, they just need to get into MVP. Because like if you basically have Zach Arlingus.
Oh, he was outside of the top 50. I thought that was the top 70. I was like, dang.
It's because Parker Welk has the qualify because he won DDO, so that's where that line is. But Zach Arlingus is now in 49th. He played. Then you have no one, literally not a single person until you hit Matteo and Ezra that played. Mm-hmm. So like, and then from them obviously the top. So basically 2 people in the top 50 played.
Well, hey,
which is crazy.
We'll have to track it, and if if they beat a ton of people at Worlds, maybe we'll just have to eat our words. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Because that's the other thing is like you said it. Oh yeah, Holly Finley's 18th in tour points, so that was an important tournament for her. She jumped up 3 spots. Now she is in the cut for the tour championship.
That's big. Yeah,
so that was a big tournament. Obviously, you still have to back it up with playing well at Worlds and MVP Open and stuff like that. But anyways,
we don't want to rabble on.
No, we don't want to keep going. There you go. There's the AFDO 50 years.
That is pretty amazing.
One heck of a streak.
This tournament existed before the PDGA. Like disc golf wasn't even really a thing. I think I don't know the history of this event, but I'm imagining it started potentially as an event where they were just doing frisbee stuff. Like I don't even know if they were playing golf with frisbees at this first event.
If so, it might have been like object golf.
I mean, it was just a flying disc open.
Like
the pole holes and stuff like that stuff wasn't until like the 80s, like early 80s, I think. I mean, when did when we were at...
The basket was invented in 1977.
Okay, so
which is a modern
70s.
catching basket. So this is 4 years before the modern catching basket.
It's like what? So they
weren't playing disc
they were playing
golf.
object golf.
If anything, yeah.
If anything, yeah. Very cool.
It might have just been another kind of tournament that turned into a disc golf.
Right, that's what I'm
tournament,
saying. It might have just been like they were doing like MTAs
yeah, it was the
and
flying disc
freestyle
open,
and stuff, like they did at the Rose Bowl. That's got to be the oldest tournament in disc golf, right? Like or in frisbee, like I don't know.
In frisbee.
Oh yeah, I guess not in frisbee, but like in our sport that like it's continued the name.
The first official disc golf tournament was held in Brookside Park, Pasadena, California, in 1969. But that's not going on anymore.
What is that even? See, that's funny. Is like the disc golf history is so discombobulated because like a lot of people will tell you it started in like the early 80s. Like that's like when Scott Stokely was starting it, and it was like born and there was like actual courses. I don't know, man. Somebody needs to get an almanac together.
Disc golf almanac.
I'm reading like a brief history of disc golf from the PDGA, trying to find because they mentioned Rochester.
Right.
In 1973, avid group of disc golfers happened upon a copy of an IFA newsletter. They were amazed to hear of the frisbee culture that existed well beyond their little sphere of activity. They decided to make the 1974 City of Rochester Disc Golf Championship a national tournament to find out just how many people around the country were playing disc golf. They called the event the American Flying Disc Open, AFDO, to attract the attention of frisbee community and put up a brand new 1974 Datsun B210 to be awarded to the winner.
A Datsun B210? That's sick. That's fun.
Here's the thing. It's a cool name too. I will say I understand what they were trying to do with the trophy for this event. Not to get on the trophy train here.
It's a Datsun B210 is the trophy.
No, for the this year they gave them steering wheels, and they didn't look pretty. They were just black steering wheels that I think said the tournament on maybe like
the
a
MPO
wooden.
first place in there, man.
They were.
It was a sick trophy.
Shut up.
They're gonna go screw it. They're gonna screw it into their van, man. They're gonna drive with that thing.
That's
from,
like the only cool thing you would do with it.
Fun.
Yeah.
They're gonna drive from there to Vermont.
It just cracked me up watching them hold these they just jet black steering wheels that they were.
You're never
wheels.
Why I refuse to just get in on this argument is we're never winning it.
I don't know. There's some people that agree.
There's a few people
because I get it. It is a cool collectible. It's a cool callback. I get it, but it's like. It's just not. I don't know. It's a steering wheel. It's funny.
Brody tweeted something about in this week's rendition of what can I find in my garage to be a trophy.
Oh man.
All right, let's get into a fan favorite segment. We've been rambling on too much.
I'm trying to make a Pawn Stars joke, but I can't. I'm just gonna say the punchline is Pawn Stars.
Oh, dude, sick joke. Nice. All right, let's get into the fan favorite segment. Trevor's trivia.
Konner, dude, you're a funny guy, man. Appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, dude.
No
Konner,
problem.
you're having a great day today, man.
Friend of the show.
All right.
You're not a friend of the show. You're on the show.
He's a friend of the show, though, too.
You're also a friend of the show.
Everybody like it.
You're the first listener to every Grip Locked.
That's true. I'm the audience. I'm a live audience.
Live audience.
I just give a little bit more feedback than most live audiences do.
There you go. Perfect.
Aww.
All right. I have a list in front of me.
Yes.
Okay, hit them with it. I love lists. Lists are one of my favorite things. Lists are at the top of my list.
It has the list of the most winningest players from top to bottom.
Heck yeah.
Okay. So
I mean, there's a lot at the bottom.
The way this is going to work is you guys are going to name 5 players each.
Okay.
We're gonna
winningest of the tour
PDGA.
Or period.
PDGA wins. Frick. I'm going to exclude a few players because there's a few that are outliers, and whoever gets first picks is going to just get a few.
So Ken Climo.
So not going to exclude Ken Climo.
Oh.
I'm going to exclude Brian Schweberger, the most winningest player with 375.
That was my first pick.
He's got a ton. I'm going to exclude Elaine King.
That was my second pick.
Those 2 players are the top 2 by a significant margin. Dang. I'm going to exclude them. You know what? No, actually, I'm going to make this. No, I won't make it any harder. Okay. So you guys are each going to name 5. I'm trying to decide if I want to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do it to where you're each going to name 5, and then I'm going to reveal at the end, how much each person has and how much your total is. So I think that'll be more fun. So you guys can start thinking.
Most
let me pull up my notes
players.
here.
All right,
so this is just PDGA wins. Who wants to go first?
I can go, unless Konner wants to go.
You can go.
Okay.
I'll take Barry Schultz first.
Okay. Let me write that down. Hunter wants Barry. You got it.
Barry, the thrill.
I'm going to take Kenny.
Okay. Konner wants Kenny.
Thought of him. I'm just scared he got injured too early.
Yeah, I get that.
Big Hunt.
Give me Paige Pierce.
Give him Paige Pierce,
thinking.
he says.
Okay.
Big Hunt? Big Con?
I'll go ahead. I don't think this is a good pick. Probably not a good time to take bad picks.
Yeah.
It's your second pick.
I respect you, though.
You've earned his respect.
Ooh. I want Doss.
Nate Doss?
Yeah.
Fascinating one there.
Okay.
Yeah, not really a good one.
Well, Paul Macbeth was still on the table.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, I'll just take Paul Macbeth.
I don't know why I was trying
I know
to-
I gained wins on Nate Doss.
I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that. I was trying to think of more players that I wasn't going to think of later in this game.
That's
Shouldn't have
fair.
done that.
No, I'll just take Paul.
No, it's okay. You can have him.
Okay. Back to Konner.
I'll go with Ricky.
Big Rick.
I'll take Des Redding.
Des Redding for Big Hunt. Very, very tasteful pick.
Very, very tasty
Very
pick.
cultured.
Very tasty. I'm going to go...
2 more picks for Konner, 1 for Hunter.
Avery Jenkins. He's not a big winner.
You keep picking guys that just retired at the age of 30.
I know. I know. You're right. I'm just picking
like they just
big
can't
names.
have won because
I know. I'm just picking big names, and I'm having the.
But I mean, I would feel like there's got to be players that are just like currently playing on the Pro Tour that have more than Avery Jenkins.
You're right. You're very right.
For my last pick,
There's like one more
I'll take
absolute
Katrina Allen.
shark on the table. Cat.
I'll take Cat. I feel like she has sneaky wins.
Well, you know she's in those some certain clubs.
I was gonna say Jennifer Allen for a similar reason.
Bro.
Jennifer Allen is a good pick.
I
think
felt
you
like Jennifer Allen
deserve
was
to
a
be
good
gassed
pick.
up. I'll give you that. I'll give you that little hint. Jen Allen is a good pick.
Then I'll say Jennifer Allen.
Okay, she is a good pick. She is a top 12 on this list.
Okay, I
would've not
I was
thought
gonna say her for the second
been
one, but I was
playing
too
for a long
embarrassed.
time.
She
and
she doesn't win on tour.
Well,
That's what I thought.
She dominates like FP 40 or whatever.
My
yeah,
thought
fair.
process was that she'd been playing for a long time, but I was too embarrassed to say it early on.
Okay.
So I said Nate Doss.
Yeah, you picked Dawson Jenkins, who both
know.
stopped playing when they were like 31.
Let me get the totals here.
my thought process in this game was in the wrong place.
The one shark that you guys really missed that would have been
I'm
very
curious.
tough was Mike Moser.
Colorado guy, right?
He has a Pennsylvania guy.
Oh, who's the Mosier guy in Colorado? It's a different one.
No, you're thinking of
Mike, he's what, like 215?
higher than that.
Dang it. I wish I just
270.
pulled that out of my butt and I was like, imagine if I nailed it.
Okay, I got Hunter's total. Let me get Konner's total here.
I'm happy with my list.
You had a pretty good list.
I was
I had
scared. I was going
fun.
to pick Juliana Korver, but she took a decent bit of time off from the game when she was doing like freestyle stuff. That scared me.
Let me see.
I mean, she was dominant when she was playing.
Korver is one of the, she's top 4, top 5.
Dang it. Where's Redding? She have more than Redding?
Redding's like top 7.
I'm actually changing mine to Matteo.
Okay, here we go. Hunter led off with Barry Schultz, who is the best pick you could have on this list at
Heck yeah, Big
281
Hunt.
wins. He then goes to Paige, a little further down on the list, one of the top FPO players, though, at 155. She's probably top 20 on this list. Then goes to Paul Macbeth, who is just a spot below her at 149. Then to Des Redding, who is like a top 7 on this list at 208. And finally to Kat, who's like around 10th on the list at 189, putting him at a total of 982.
Dang,
Good job, Big Hunt.
Konner started off strong with Ken Climo.
Hit him with it.
At 240. He is like 6th on this list.
Heck yeah, Konner.
Then goes to Nate Doss.
Oh, it's okay. Let's stick with that one.
I couldn't find him on the list. I had to search him. He has 43 wins.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's pretty good.
I think was that one I picked.
Which
Paul?
like that one is shockingly low. Like that is crazy.
He stopped his career so short.
Yeah, I should have thought of that.
You got to have those guys that have like those late parts of their career. They just clean up like old.
My mind was going to who was doing really well at one point, and that's not the way to go.
43 though, like because he had a junior career, so 43 is low. I would have thought he would have been 70, 80 at least. Rick, you went to Rick then, who has 125, solid pick. Then you go to Avery, who has 66.
Yeah, same, similar spot in my head.
And then rounded out Jen out at 163 for a total of 637. Hunter is the winner.
Good job, Hunter.
Yeah, the big one that y'all missed was Mike Moser, but he's a tough one to get.
Where is Johnny McRae on that list?
He's also very high on the list.
Because he's been playing forever and
Johnny
still
McRae
playing.
is
You gotta
like
think of the old guys.
He's like
I
eighth
know
on the
that.
list.
I didn't start
Schick,
thinking until
Matt Dollar, Kevin McCoy,
You got to think of local guys. Like that's
Taylor
why
Visco, and Steve Rico.
That's why Barry Schultz is my first pick, is because like I have seen him win probably 20 times.
What about
like, I
MJ?
witnessed it in North Carolina.
Who?
Where's Michael Johansson on that list?
That's a
I
good
feel like he doesn't play that
question.
much local.
I didn't see. He's not on the initial page. Let's see here. Why is he not popping up? That's weird. He's not popping up on this list.
Oh,
So he must be like really.
he's
far
never
down.
won anything ever.
That's interesting. Wonder if I like just search him as
You
a
can
player.
just go. I can go on PDGA.
Yeah, just search his PDGA. Imagine he has like more than anybody does it, but
Michael
the fact that
Johansson,
Schwebe has 375.
171 wins.
Okay,
Michael Johansson.
that's weird. He wasn't popping up on the list.
Okay, so he wouldn't
Maybe I
have
just
been a bad
spelled
choice.
No, I spelled it right. Yeah, tough one. It is weird getting the just like wins can be.
Took
tricky.
me a while to get in the correct mindset there, and by a while I mean I never really did until after the game was over.
A really good pick. That was a smart pick.
All right, let's talk into
You're
this.
a smart guy.
I saw this posted on Facebook mid last week, and is a fascinating storyline from back at. I think this is Declo.
Yes.
I love it whenever Hunter talks about posts that he sees.
So
It always leads to
post
fun
alone.
convo. Yeah.
I'm gonna read you this post. So, if anyone needs another reason to dislike Nate Heinold, this is me reading the post. This is not my words. Clarify that because his first sentence is pretty condemning if it was my words. If anyone needs another reason to dislike Nate Heinold, this is from a live UDisc scoring volunteer. Another situation from Sunday, albeit a non-factor in the outcome at the top, was an issue Heinold brought up to the group I was doing UDisc scoring for. I had the 12:27 p.m. MPO scheduled tee time. The DGPT delayed my card start to 12:30 due to the FPO chase or third card coming up on 18 at the time. At 12:27, Luke Humphreys wasn't there yet, but we weren't starting yet. At 12:30, our card starts getting called off with our first player teeing. Luke was next. And as he is being introduced, he is running up and runs to the tee and makes his shot. Our card moves on with no issue and no delay other than the DGPT delay. On hole 3, Heinold walks up and tells Luke he's getting a par +4 penalty for being absent at the start of the round. The players on the card then spend 5 minutes arguing with Heinold on hole 3's tee about how they don't agree. Luke and the group then spend about 20 minutes after the round at the scorer's table trying to figure out how he decided that Luke didn't make the start of his round when he was there on time to throw his first shot. Oh wait, it gets better. Luke asked for Heinold to appeal it to the rules committee on the tee of 3, and walking up to the tee of 4, Heinold came scootering up to say it would stand per the rules committee. After the round, Luke said he would appeal it again, and it sparked another conversation with Heinold. Heinold cited 811F.5. Luke wanted to see the rule. Heinold wouldn't pull it up, so I brought it up on the PDGA app and handed it over to Luke. The rule says 811.F.5 absent. If a player is not present at the start of their round for their assigned group, the player is considered absent and does not play the hole. A player is also considered absent if the player has not played the previous hole and is not present when their group is ready to start on a hole. The absent player receives a score of par +4 for each hole not played. Par is determined by the director. The issue is the group of the round started at 12:30, not 12:27, so it was a non-issue that Heinold was making an issue. Here's the deal. Originally, I was like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Then I read the rule again. Nate Heinold was right.
This is the start of the round, and somebody
round.
had already teed off.
Luke Humphreys was not there at the start of that cards round. So
Yeah.
technically, by the rule, 100%, Luke Humphreys should have been par +4 by the rule book, period. Now, how it was handled, probably not the best. I mean, rolling up on 3 to let a player know, I understand that because the rule is enforced. You get par +4. The player needs to know where they're at, and they don't just look at their scorecard and see. So I understand him showing up, and I understand there's going to be a discussion. Where it probably should have been left is, I'm going to appeal to the rules committee. Howard's like, okay, that's fine. Goes to appeal to the rules committee. Rules committee obviously is going to side with the rule, which is Luke Humphries was late, par +4. Just let that stand and explain it after the round. Rolling back up on 4 and reigniting it.
It is an interesting one because, when I read the rule thing at first, because when I first was reading through the whole thing, I was like, this is so silly. Like, he was there to throw his shot. Like, who cares? But then, if you want to play by the rules, and we should, it does say the start of the round. It doesn't say for your throw, right? Yeah. So that means from when the first person on your card is like at 12:30 on the dot. The problem is, I feel like I need more context. Like, when did he arrive?
Well, it says as he was being announced, he ran up, is what this guy says.
Right. And was he announced? But was he announced first on the card?
No, he was second.
Second on the card.
He was second.
So
someone already teed off as he's being introduced. He's running up.
If I was the TD, because I believe that rules are for a reason, but also if they're not interfering with anybody, then like, I don't know. Because like if I roll up, a guy is literally, he couldn't have been more than a minute or two late, but he's there to where the card wasn't delayed at all, and everybody on the card was like, it's completely fine. And remember, those are the only people who would be affected by this. Like, everybody else on any other card, it's not changing their day at all. He's not cheating. There was, so like,
well, technically he's cheating. Technically,
he's not gaining an advantage. I think cheating is breaking a rule to gain an advantage. This rule, he's having a disadvantage by showing up late and being stressed out. Would you not agree?
I don't know that. I would just consider, like, if you break a rule, you should be penalized.
Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, I have no issue with a rule being enforced. I'm just saying, in a game where rules can be very fluid, if I walked up and was like,
I probably wouldn't have said anything.
I probably would have just been like, you were late, like blah blah blah. And if everybody was like, it's fine, it's no big deal, he was here for his shot, I would have been like, all right, that's fine.
Well, this is how I interpret it. Because first off, we do have to remember this is only one side of the card. And the person started off with, if you need another reason to dislike Nate Heinold.
That's the other problem. What makes me worry about this is, like, I kind of want to hear Nate Heinold's side of the story, because I feel like there's not enough facts out there.
This is how I'm perceiving it from the back end, is for Nate Heinold to not say anything until hole 3 tells me that he most likely was not there at the tee. And he probably walked up, and the starter was like, hey, Luke Humphries, this is the situation. Heinold goes, oh, so he was absent. He needs to be par +4. Like, he wasn't here for his tee time. And then probably was like, the starter was like, yeah, I'm not a fit, whatever. And then Heinold's like, okay, I'll go tell him. And rolled down. Because I would imagine if Heinold was there, Luke would have never thrown. He'd be like, nope, the round already started. You're late. You can start your round on hole 2. You get par +4 on the first hole.
Yeah.
That probably would have been the initial situation. By it not being enforced till hole 3 tells me Heinold didn't find out until hole 3. So in my mind, from the outside looking in, now again, I think the hole 3 situation was justified, fine, because the rule is the rule. The rule was broken. Heinold enforced the rule. We can't get mad at people for enforcing the rules. We've seen it happen where everyone's like, why didn't everyone call Nico on 30 seconds? You can't get pissed when someone does enforce a rule now. You don't get both sides.
It is true.
So Heinold rolls up on 3, enforces the rule. I disagree with him coming back on 4, personally. That's where I'm like, okay, that part, like, roll up on 3. Luke has every right to appeal to the rules committee. That should have been that. Like, hey, you have par +4. I'm going to appeal to the rules committee.
Yeah,
you have every right to do so.
It feels a little like I told you so to come back on hole 4.
So then you're out of there. You're done. You appeal to the rules committee. The rule stands because the rule is very clear where it was the start of the round. Right. And it's very clear Luke was not there.
It is interesting, too. Like, this guy writes this post in a very, like, matter-of-fact way when he says, I'd like to know, like, how Heinold arrived at the point that he was late for his round. And it's like, you literally wrote down the rule. It's quite clear. If he wasn't there when the round was starting, then he broke the rule. So, like, I almost want to hear each person's, like, side.
Well, I think
like what the logic is there.
What it comes down to, I feel like,
I don't know.
is this rule is very misunderstood in disc golf, because I didn't know this was a technical rule.
I got to be honest. I always thought it was for once you're shot.
Because I've been on cards, and granted, this could.
But it does make sense. Like, everybody should be held. Like, you shouldn't get, because like, if the rule wasn't written this way, then by going fourth on the card, you would have more time.
Like going second on the card, he had more time.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So like that's why the rule has to be written this way.
It's the only place where you can really draw that line to where it's fair for everybody.
It's a tea time. Everybody has it.
The problem is that if he's like, okay, well, everybody on the card's fine with it and everything like that, and then doesn't call him on it, then the next day, if something marginally worse happens, but it's technically breaking the same rule. I mean,
it's also tough too because like their tea time got moved back. Like there was more time for him to get there.
Well, let's just call it how it is. You're a touring professional disc golfer. This is what you do for a living.
Yeah, you know your
tea time.
You got to be there.
How are you even showing up 3 minutes late?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that because like you could have got a flat tire. Like who knows?
Sure.
I mean, Sarah Hogan got in a car wreck that 1 year.
From tour life, it sounded like Luke Humphries basically was like, I like just rolling up and playing.
And
like if that's
I'm not going to sympathize with that. I can't really.
Sorry, you're a touring professional disc golfer. Warm up a little bit. Get there 30 minutes early, 40 minutes early, an hour early, and then you won't have a problem. The other side of this coin too, you have to look at is as a tournament director, it would technically be wrong to know a player messed up the rules and to not enforce it.
No, you can't. Yeah,
because now you as a tournament director, it's like. You can't play favorites. So if I don't enforce it for one person, but then like if it's Nico, I'm definitely going to enforce it. Like you can't play that card either. So
I would like to hear.
I think the only thing I have a problem with this situation is coming back on hole 4, and there might have been a reason for it. Again, this is only one side. Maybe he was like, "Look, I'll go appeal it and I'll get right back to you." Right. Maybe that was said, and that's what he did. Whatever.
Yeah, I would like to get more of the fact pattern.
Obviously, this made a lot of people very upset, and coming after Nate Heinold for more and more. And the more I read it, I was like, as much as I understand people want to come after Nate Heinold, I think he's in the right in this one.
It's a tough one when you've got like 4 guys on a card all like advocating against you when you're just trying to enforce a rule.
Look, this is the rule. Like, and the rule's black and white.
And everybody is like in love with the players, so it
is also tough. It was Luke Humphries.
Yeah, who's a very like everybody loves Luke Humphries.
At least it didn't par plus 4 Hogan, his dog.
Yeah, but like that is a tough place to be. But like,
I do think it's a thing.
If everybody's just gonna get mad at a guy for enforcing the rule, that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, well, I think it's a thing of players not knowing the technical rule because, like I said, I've been on a card. I was on a card with Lance Brown. He showed up late, and it was the first hole. And what we did, because at this time, this was a few years ago, and this might have been the rule a few years ago. But what we assumed was the rule is you obviously have 30 seconds to throw.
Yeah, so once you're announced,
what we did
you got 30
is
seconds.
Travis Chumley, I think, was the first guy on the card. He threw. He took his 30 seconds and then threw to give Lance as much time as possible. Then it was Lance was second on the card. I was third on the card. So Lance, we gave 30 seconds. We started a stopwatch, let the 30 seconds go. And then our card was even friendly because I took my 30 seconds. And before I threw. Because we were basically like, if Lance rolls up, we're not breaking any PDGA rules, we felt.
The tough thing, too.
So I feel like that would be a common thing for disc golfers to think is like, well, Luke Humphries has 30 seconds to throw, and he threw within that time. And it's like, well, no, according to this, as soon as the first player is announced, that's the start of the round for the assigned group, the player, if he's not there, par plus 4.
Yeah, and it does say for their assigned group, the start of the round for their assigned group.
At the start of the round for their assigned group.
The tough thing with PDGA rules, though, is there's always a little bit of ambiguity, like what does present mean? Like, could he be across the parking lot and he's like, hey, I'm here? Or does he have to be standing within a 10-foot radius of you? Like, what does the word present mean? And in this case, he might not have been anywhere to be seen. I'm sure he wasn't. Because I'm sure if they saw him running up, they probably would never got to this point. I'm sure he wasn't even there at all.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, let us know in the comments if there's like if you interpret the rule differently. Because in my opinion, unless we're missing information or unless we're just somehow interpreting this rule that seems very clear wrong, then like it's pretty much case closed. Like if you're not there at the start of your tee time for your assigned group, you get par plus 4.
Yeah.
But let us know in the comments. I know a lot of people hate on Heinold, but don't give us that. Give us some real facts.
Well, that's what I do find it.
I don't care if you don't like them.
I always find it funny because this isn't the only time this has happened. But like, for instance, if it's a player like Nico, everyone's like, "Oh, dude, put me on his card. I'll call him. I'll call him." And then someone calls a rule on a player you like, and you're like, "What the frick, man? Don't call that." Like, you can't have both sides.
That's why you have rules.
I do feel like if the narrative of this story was Nico got called in this and then freaked out, like everybody would be like, it's just the rules. You got to follow the rules.
Yeah, like if Luke Humphries called this on Nico,
it does feel that way.
Then everyone's siding with Luke Humphries. But it's because you have Heinold as the villain and Luke Humphries, or in this scenario, Heinold's the villain calling it, and Luke Humphries is the guy who's getting called on. Obviously, everyone's going to side with Luke Humphries.
That's the only way that the rules work is if every rule is called.
The rule can't care about who.
Anytime a rule is broken, it has to.
I will say the only other thing about the story that's weird and like was like wrong on Heinold's part is not pulling up the rule.
Again,
why? Like I believe you were in the right, so all you had to do is read it to them.
I would like to hear Heinold's explanation on that.
Yeah, like
too.
Is that true? Like,
it also sounds like there's a possibility that whole car was kind of ganging up on him too.
This is after the round, and because I agree, like just pull. There's no reason for him not to pull it up.
Just read it to him and be like, "Can you dispute that?" And
maybe
if the answer is no,
maybe
then
he didn't have his phone on him or something. Who knows?
Right.
But because like I agree, when I read that part, I was like, "Oh, dude, like Heinold."
Because if I'm trying to make a tough rules call, but then I read
the rule, and I'm like,
"Yeah,
he was definitely in the right."
If I'm trying to make a tough rules call, it's as simple as, "Okay, here's the rule. Ready? Read it. How do you dispute that? And if there's not a dispute, like a way to dispute that, because like, what's the appeal? This whole story too, like if the appeal was like if we are missing parts of this story and his whole appeal was no, I was there, I was literally like 100 feet away running towards the tee, then like okay, now I start to understand where the appeal comes into play. But if like he wasn't anywhere to be seen,
it sounded like from this one person's point of view, the argument was I was there when it was my turn to throw.
Yeah,
which that doesn't matter by the PDJ rule.
Yeah,
unfortunately, it doesn't work.
Now I wanted to pull up this article because obviously it's Worlds Week. We'll have the preview show that comes out tomorrow. If you want to hear all the information, our predictions for Worlds, our preview of the course, get yourself gassed up and ready. We're also going to have a companion stream on Sunday. You're not going to miss out on that. Those are always a really good time. But Ultra World put out this article. Can you guess the average age of a PDGA World Champion? Where they basically broke down all the data in like what is the average age of a PDGA World Champion, which is always obviously considered the highest title in our sport. So I wanted to just look at like, this is kind of like what's a peak disc golfer.
Well, it's funny
in a roundabout way.
It's funny because for two very large stretches of our sports history, it's just been the same person slowly aging.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I feel like this data is not great.
But it's interesting.
For FPO, it'd probably be interesting. Well, same thing with FPO.
Because you have Paige. And then you had Lane King, and then you had Des Redding.
It's just like 26, 27, 28, 29, 24, 25, 26, 27.
But I do want to shout out Ulti World. If you haven't yet, go over to Ulti World and take their fandom survey because the more data that goes in, the more interesting it is. And let them know that Foundation sent you. You can click that button in there.
Yeah.
But you fill out, you answer how you feel about players, commentators.
This is your chance to let people hear it. Yep.
And it's anonymous. And then come October, November range, we'll have the data spit back out and we'll let you know on the podcast what the results are. Last year's was always fascinating.
It's so much fun.
Most of the time it's just like, yep, that makes sense. But sometimes you find something that you're like, wow, I did not know that.
Players be having haters.
So the version of this article was initially published in 2021 and has been expanded for 2023.
So do we need to guess?
Yeah, why don't you, let's start here. I'll just read you a few of the statistics and y'all can just guess.
Okay.
What is the oldest MPO world champion ever?
Good question. Climo, it could be Climo.
I was about to say, I feel like it was probably Climo.
Okay.
How old was he?
He would have been a good bit into his 30s when he won his last one, which was
30.
He won his last one in like 07.
What'd you say?
36?
36? Trevor?
Because if I had to guess, I would say Climo is in his young 50s now. I actually do like that guess a lot. I'll agree. 36, okay. Climo.
38.
Dang, I was thinking he was 38.
Yeah, okay. All right, pretty good guess. Wow.
Now, what about the oldest FPO winner?
Okay.
You're not going to know this one. Well, you're not going to know who it is. So
I'll
tell you, it was the winner from 1996.
Okay.
So just guess their age.
I got it.
Basically.
It's
41.
42.
42, 41. Age was 40.
Okay.
It was Beth Tanner.
There you go.
Now, this one I feel like you might have heard previously. Okay. The youngest MPO winner.
Yeah, it was that kid early on.
1984.
Yeah, I think.
I feel like I remember hearing 17.
I think it was 17.
16.
16.
He turned 17 later that year. Okay. He was 16 when he won.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How about the youngest FPO winner?
This is probably either I don't know if Paige Pierce won. Well, okay, Paige Pierce starting winning world titles.
I'm going to say 21.
21?
Paige Pierce is... Yeah, she was in her younger 20s when she started winning. I think her first world title was in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And she is probably around age 32 right now. So she would have been, I would say 20.
Okay. She was 20 in 2011.
Wow.
Great math.
Math,
Trevor.
baby!
Now, Marie Elsner was also 20 when she won her first Worlds, but she was 2 months older than Paige at the time of her victory. So Paige
Dang, let's go Paige.
Okay, so here we get to it. The average age for an MPO winner of Worlds. It's down to a decimal point.
Most of the winners have come about in their mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
Now, Climo, here's the problem is Climo's going to skew it a good bit because he won in his 30s a good bit, but Doss was in his 20s. Avery Jenkins was probably still in his 20s. Paul obviously won a bunch in his 20s.
Before you do too much math, Climo doesn't skew it because he basically won every year from 22 to 30.
That is also true.
So he basically just balances the 20s.
Rick was in his 20s. Like I would imagine it's coming in the mid 20s. Like
I was thinking
25 or 6.
I was thinking 26 because the
26.
higher end.
I like 26.
It's 27 and a half.
Okay. Wow.
Is the average MPO age.
A little bit higher than I would
Now,
thought.
what about the average FPO age?
It's going to be now Kat. We obviously have Kristen, was already 30, and Kat, who is into her 30s, just won as well. But Paige and Kat,
I definitely think it's higher. Do you think it's higher than
I
the
think
men's?
it's a little bit higher. I want to say it's probably like 28 or 29.
Let's go. You want to go with a decibel? You want to just go
28 and a half. Yeah.
27.9.
We're close.
Now, here's another fascinating one. What's the average age for a first-time MPO winner?
First time
So
MPO
this takes
world
out
champion.
the skew as far as...
Okay. Well, we can think back a lot of these.
First-time MPO winner.
Climo was young 20s. Paul was young 20s. Rick was relatively young 20s. I'm gonna say this one comes in at like, but 20. Then you do have Barsby, who is a little older, and then you do have Conrad, who is a little bit older. I'm not sure if he's 30 yet, but he's up there in the 20s.
You think 25, 24?
I'm gonna. Well, then you have that 16-year-old.
Yeah, true.
That's gonna skew the data a little bit. I'm gonna say 23.
I was gonna say 23.7.
23.7.
You had the numbers right, Konner, but it's 27.3.
Dang.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really.
I must have been misreading.
Oh my
the
goodness, that
message I was
surprises me
Now,
a lot.
what about the average age for a first-time
What
FPO
the
winner?
heck? Who could you have like a list of like who attributes to that data?
Yeah, I can look at that.
Can you read them?
Only first-time MPO winners. You have Harold Duvall at the age of 20, won the first Worlds.
Okay, so far.
Jeff Watson, 23. Sam Farrens, they counted him as 27 because they didn't have good data.
You're a rock star.
Or 17, I mean.
Okay.
You're
Johnny
right.
Cius, 34 next year.
Oh, okay.
Greg Hofstad, 29. John Ahart, 26. Steve Weiskup, 34.
Okay.
Ken Climo, 22.
So there's some of those early
Ron
guys.
Russell, 36.
Yep.
Cam Todd, 27. Barry Schultz, 33. Nate Doss, 20. Feldberg, 31. Jenkins, 31.
Feldberg
Eric
was-
McCabe, 32. Paul Macbeth, 22. Ricky, 23. Barsby, 31. James Conrad, 31.
I didn't
makes sense.
realize
That
that
makes sense.
Feldberg, Jenkins, and Emac were all
3 years in a
already
row.
31.
31,
when they
31,
won.
32.
I thought they were like, I don't know, 27, like that kind of man.
All right, what about FPO?
Old
Average
man.
age for FPO winner.
Okay, well, Paige was very young. Kat was not super young. I want to say Kat won her first title in 2014 or 2012, one of those 2 years, and that would have been like 10 years ago-ish, and she would have been like already in her like mid to late 20s, but still not crazy old. Hokum has a world title, I believe, around that stretch. I have no idea how old she is. Paige Bierkes, now Paige Shue, was pretty darn young in like 2018 or whatever she won that, 2019, somewhere around there. But the tough thing is, now Juliana was pretty young when she won her first world title. It's probably going to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit younger, but it's tough to know like early on.
You want to say like 26?
I think 26 and a half.
27.1.
All right, we're close.
All 27 are in
Wow.
27.
That's crazy.
Now, so they did this next.
Dang, I still got time.
The average
we all
age
have
for
time.
winners. So those ages
Except
seem to
Konner.
be in the heart of the prime for disc golfers. Players that will turn 27 in 2023
This is fun.
include Sir Calvin Heimberg.
Oh!
Also, you have Kevin Jones, Andrew Marweed, Ella Hansen, Annika Steen, Rebecca Cox, Sai Nanda, and 2018 world champion Paige Shue. 28, some players skews a little bit towards that sometimes, like the average age for FPO winners and MPO winners. Players that will turn 28, James Proctor, Jessica Weiss, Natalie Ryan. But
Dude,
obviously...
Calvin turning 27.
27 for Calvin.
That's written in the stars. That's
tough.
Crazy.
If you want me to go over the FPO numbers, how you got there.
How old was Rick the first
He's
time
actually
going
to turn 27.3 at the time of...
first. Rick was 23.
Okay, I was curious.
Sarah Hokum was 30 when she won, and Katrina Allen was 29 when she won.
Cal was already 29. What year was that?
2014.
Jeez. No, I'm not going to say that.
And Sarah Hokum was 30 when she won in 2012.
I was going to say she's old.
I
said it now. It's too late.
It's too late
rude.
Now. Wow,
Blocked.
very rude.
Sorry.
FPO is very much like up, down, age-wise. But there you go. So the median first-time winner MPO players is 28. Median for FPO is 27.
That's fun. Thank you for the data, Mr. Oltie's
that is
World.
fun.
Yeah. So there you have it.
It's just Oltie's World. We're all living in it.
Who runs the world?
So
Oltie.
as of July of 2018, the average age for a major winner in men's golf is 32 years and 143 days.
That makes sense. Takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And also you've got guys like that are winning into their 50s if you're Phil Mickelson.
The average age for a men's tennis Grand Slam winner is 24 years.
And you need money to play golf.
That's interesting.
And the average age of an NBA All-Star player is 26 and a half.
Yeah.
And MVP is 27.9.
Yeah.
So about 28 is athletic prime. So I got 2 years till I'm in my athletic prime.
Heck yeah.
I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that for years. Once I'm 28, I'm in my athletic
I don't.
prime.
Well, I think you're in your athletic prime. I think that the age is like athletic ability plus experience. So you're not in your ability prime. You will have like your most ability at sports because you'll have the smarts and you'll still have all of the athletes.
with the smarts.
But I think from. Well, I don't know. Grown men's strength is a thing.
For you is going into monthly matches. I'm getting closer and closer to my athletic prime. I'm only going to get better.
Well, it's just a good excuse, though. I'll just be like, well, this guy's in his prime.
But then what's going to happen when I turn 20?
Shout out prime, all right?
When I turn 30 and you're in your athletic prime, I'm still beating you.
Dang, dude.
Wow. 12 time.
What was it really safe for Brody rolling in and smacking us around?
He's hanging on to that prime, man.
Give me 2 years.
Drinks
Hanging
a
on
lot
to
of
that
prime.
Can't do that, man.
Clearly, not a sponsor.
I'll edit that out.
All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow for the disc golf preview
Hasta
show
mañana.
of the
Right?
disc golf.
Yeah.
Of
All
the
right.
disc golf world championships. How are we already there? I don't know, but it starts on Wednesday, and you're not going to miss the preview show where we'll go through all the storylines.
We're going to have a new world champ next Grip Block episode.
including the fact that Calvin Heimberg's 27.
Come on.
Coming into Worlds. Big
He's
storyline no one's talking about.
27.
Nice.
See you tomorrow.